Tell me when.
I'm ready.
Okay. It's 6:30 p.m. This is a special call meeting on Tuesday, March the 16th of 2021 of the West ISD Board of Trustees. Pursuant to Governor Abbott's temporary suspension of open meetings laws issued on March the 16th of 2020, the special called board meeting of the West ISD Board of Trustees will be conducted via video conference and telephone call. The video conference will be audible to the board and to the public and allow for two-way communication. The Board of Trustees will not be physically present at one location, but a quorum will be required for the meeting on the video conference or phone. The public may access this virtual meeting via the link found on the calendar on the West ISD website at www.westisd.net. A link to the online agenda is also available under the board header on this same website. Any public comments must be submitted between 8 a.m. on Monday, March the 15th and 4 p.m. on Tuesday, March the 16th of 2021 by emailing the comments to publiccomments@westisd.net. All public comments shall be submitted to this email address and will be read to the Board of Trustees for their consideration. I now call this meeting to order and verify that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. This time I would ask you to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, except those that are in the automobiles. And the flag is in Mr. Truitt's hands there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Almighty God, our Father in heaven, we ask your blessing upon this meeting tonight. We want to thank you for the blessings of this day and the fact that we can actually be a part of it. We ask you to give us clearance of thought and guidance in our decisions, Father. We acknowledge your sovereignty in all things and acknowledge the blessings that you've bestowed upon us as a community, as a school district, as a state, as a nation. We pray, Father, that our actions may be pleasing in your sight. We ask these things in your holy name. Amen. Thank you, and be seated. All right, that brings us to the audience portion of our agenda, and I understand that we have had no requests to address the board, so we'll immediately go to agenda item number 6, which is a report. It's the recommended updates for the West ISD Return to Learn and Play COVID-19 risk mitigation plans in response to Texas Governor Abbott's executive order GA32. And Mr. Truitt's going to inform us about this information.
Yes, sir. Thank you all for agreeing to meet tonight so that we could go ahead and address these updates, especially with the outdoor athletic events that are occurring even this week. So thank you for giving me your time and attention. I did want to point out there's actually a typo in what Dr. Sparks just read. GA32 is the original executive order, and I had that in my head when I was typing this. But of course, you guys know it's GA34. So I apologize for that. I can't go back and change it on the agenda. So I just wanted on the record that really we're talking about Executive Order 34. I sent a memo to all of you from me that highlighted a couple of different headers, a background of why we're here tonight, our current COVID-19 data, and then some updates from TEA and UIL that I wanted to go over. And then, of course, the administration's recommendations as far as updates to our return to learn and play plans, as Dr. Sparks mentioned. And 3 of those bullet points of the 5 are actually from the District 17-3 Executive Committee that we're bringing here tonight. But while we're here tonight, again, Executive Order GA34, as you know, went into effect over spring break. We're on spring break on Wednesday the 10th. You can see I just put the 2 bullet points, but you've probably seen the resolution that it was several pages, but these are the 2 that we're really working off of. About no COVID-19 related operating limits, i.e. 100% is what we're looking at there when we discuss that bullet point. And then, as you know, they changed the wording to strongly encouraging to wear face masks. I'm going to pause a minute and let Holly in. I apologize.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Crawshaw, the time.
I got her.
Okay.
I got her.
All right. All right. And so then the strongly encouraged face mask guideline that all of you are very aware of. And as you know from my emails to all of you and then conversations or texts for the weekend, my response for West ISD is stay the course. I notified the staff and our families of the reasons, the why behind that decision. And with 50 now, what would it be, 51 days left of school, that what's working for us needs to stay in place so we can have a safe and successful ending to the school year. I did want to report to you guys tonight that our current West ISD COVID-19 data tables, our health alert, as I've been calling it all year, is looking good from spring break. But also, I want to remind y'all that with the way it works, we won't see the cases possibly come for another few days or so. All of you are aware how that works by now with all of our discussions about it. Right now, we have 2 cases, both student cases at the high school, that did not return to school yesterday. And so there's no quarantine for them because it occurred over spring break, and with discussions, they weren't around other students or staff. So that's great news. We were wondering what that number would look like, but again, I'm cautiously optimistic with that news, knowing that it could change at any time with some other cases that have come forward. With the recent updates from TDA section, which is really the bottom of page 1 and all of 2. Hi, Holly. Wanted to make sure y'all remembered what's changed since the start of the year. The pieces that have changed, and I'm just going to do the headers because we've talked about these. The stay-at-home period for close contact. You guys know about the 10 to 7, and then if you read in the middle of page 2, it gives you those 4 bullet points of the different scenarios there for students and staff. Then also in that section, we've never really discussed this because I really wasn't honoring it because our staff needed to get well and they needed to be home and isolated, but there's that paragraph in there about critical infrastructure services when they added teachers and really all staff at a school district to it, that they could come with symptoms and things outside of a positive case. But we've still, in West ISD, sent all symptoms home. But I wanted to make sure you knew that was in there. The second section that's in red, that's new, is the stay-at-home period for close contacts who've been vaccinated. I shared this at our last board meeting. Those 5 bullet points, 2 main ones with the subheaders. And that's going to become a bigger deal for us as we have more and more staff members get the vaccine. I was texting Ms. Crawshaw as she asked me when we were having these discussions about tonight, how many of our staff out of the 204 have been vaccinated or will be getting vaccinated. And by my count, we're getting close to 80. It's easy for us to track the ones we're hosting, the clinics we're hosting, or the ones we're sending folks to. But now, since or all of our employees are part of who can go to any clinic, some are just stopping in and getting appointments, and we're doing our best to keep track of them as well. And just so we know how many more clinics, it's not a big brother thing where who's all getting vaccinated. It's just how many more clinics do I need to offer as far as who out there still is interested versus who's not. And so that's what I'm working on there. But wanted to report that we're at 79 is our current number for will be vaccinated or already or in the process of. Let me give all 3 of those scenarios. Our clinic is tomorrow at 5 p.m. at West Middle School High School in the cafeteria. I want to publicly, even though I say publicly, there's only 10 of us on the Zoom tonight, thank Lynn's Pharmacy in Belmead, in particular, Michelle Johnson, who all of you know, for coordinating this clinic just for our staff. And we've got 66 coming through just tomorrow based on their offer to us. And we're so grateful that they're giving us their time and efforts and vaccines for our staff's health. So we're very thankful to Lynn's and need to thank them properly. Also, a little known piece is the spreading of COVID-19 on surfaces. This part of the Return to Learn plan changed also. We didn't give it much fanfare in West because our custodians are still doing what we've always done. even though it says now it's optional is the way I'll word it to do the practices for cleaning surfaces. We've still been doing it. But that was in there and changed as well. Then the next big one there at the bottom of page 2, the face, covering the nose and mouth. So on GA order 34, the executive order 34, the one sentence, and that's all it says there on the top of page 3, is that you guys, the governing board, may modify or eliminate by formal action the mask-related requirements. And so that's really where we are tonight. They said it was a local decision. They put it back on us. They said it recommendation from the administration, who's me, and that anything we want to do related to a return to learn and play plans could be voted on by the board to be modified, changed, rescinded, whichever words you want to use. The next part, those are the TEA updates, is the UIL update. And this is all we received related to GA 34. It's those 3 bullet points there at the top of page 3. You can see there that they gave us that first bullet point about consistence with TEA guidance about this face mask thing again. That's at the top of the page. And then the next part about schools may determine spectator capacity and seating arrangements, which is on our recommendations tonight. And then any other updates consistent with TEA guidance. So very broad, of course, except for bullet point 2, where they specifically talk about spectator capacity. And then you can see our recommendations. We broke them down into 2 sections. That first section that I want to start with, and we've got Coach Woodard on here tonight if you guys have questions. You guys know we're part of District 17-3A. That's all of our spring sports. They do our UIL academic and UIL 1-act play. So you can see there that I have a note that our plans that are already in place related to COVID-19 risk mitigation will stay in place for our high school UIL meet, which ironically enough, we're hosting. And with the help of Dr. Crowder and FBC West, we're going to be able to space those contests even more because we needed more space and want to contain some of our speaking events in particular because of the mask piece there and what the UIL has stipulated for that. And so we're hosting that here in a week. And so we asked that our plans stay in place with all the things we're doing COVID related, and everybody was fine with that. Then the other one actually happened today, was the 1-act play competition with only one school. You show up, you perform, you get your critique and you leave. Only people in the audience can be people from your school with a ticket that have a reason for being there. And so the audience was like 6 people from West. It was Kerry Cosda, Chuck Clander, me, the Snooks, and a former student. So very small audience, all spaced out, judges spaced out, and it worked well today. And our kids did a fantastic job. And then you get into the sports stuff. And I can't stress enough that this is a 17-3A executive committee request. They'd like for us to be consistent. So you're not wondering, like tonight we're playing McGregor, as you heard earlier, in baseball, softball here at our place. So when McGregor fans come to West or we go to McGregor, they'd like to have consistent guidelines. So there's not a question about, do I have to have a ticket? Is this 25% only? They want consistency. And since it's outdoors, which is key for us because we're leaving our indoor plans in place. If there's a theme here, outdoors, we want to go with these 3 recommendations. So I'm going to go through each of them. So the executive committee asked that for baseball, softball, and track, spectator capacity go from the 50 to the 100. And the way they word that, I was reading today a thread from the other 17-3A, and what they say is, even at 100%, they're recommending, like we've always said in our plans, about ensuring that we do our best to social distance. And so I was talking to Ms. Crawshaw earlier about that. Just because these bullet points are short and to the point, and making sure you fully understand what you're voting on tonight, it doesn't mean the social distancing, the mask wearing, the screenings, and the checks go away. Those things are not on this sheet for you to approve to abandon. Those are still in place. They're things we're still going to do our best to enforce. We're only asking, like, for example, in this first bullet point is we're going away from the tickets. We want to say whoever would like to come to the games may, but know that we have our risk mitigation guidelines still in play. So that's that first bullet point: baseball, softball, and track, all outdoor. And the only thing we're lifting is the number of people that can attend. All right, so let's start with that one. Any questions on that one?
Hey, David, there's some messaging going back and forth about you're breaking up pretty badly for some of us.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's been me and Mike, and I think Jason said something too. So
I'm good.
I'm good because I've talked to you so much. I don't know about the other guys.
No, I've heard everything he said.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I do see your messages now. Sorry about that. I was focused. All right. Oh, Holly, sorry I missed you in the waiting room earlier. Okay. All right. So on the first bullet point, baseball, softball, track, 100% spectators. Questions?
Mike, are you there? He's frozen.
Oh, yeah, he froze. Okay.
He just texted that he's going to log out and try to get back in.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yep,
My
there-
only question would be, do you still intend to have like spacers or anything like that, or it'll literally be just be free reign when people come in?
Free
And I say that
reign.
because I know that for the majority, I think in our community, people will not have as much of an issue sitting next to each other and stuff. I guess maybe I think there should be a small area, if possible, where there is some 6 feet apart guidelines or something, spacing. Or do we tell them specifically they can stand along the fence line or something like that? I don't know.
Well, they're going to do the fence line. I think the easiest thing there to do, Mrs. Willis, is we keep the tape down on the every other row, and that way it kind of forces people spreading out. So I think we just leave down what we already have down, and we just let people come, then the limited number of fans we had coming in. I think that probably is the
that's
easiest
good.
thing. Yeah.
Perfect.
I think that will help. And some will sit on the tape, and we'll just have to do our best with it. Y'all know how that goes. We're doing our best to enforce these things when we're there, and whoever the administrator is on duty. But the easiest thing to do is just leave the tape down and let's roll. And I'll put that, we need to send out a school messenger after tonight with these updates, and I'll tell them the tape needs to stay down so we still practice good social distance. All right, Mike didn't get back on, so is he still having problems? He's not in the waiting room.
He's not there yet.
And Woodard, where is he? Woodard.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yep, Dave, am I okay on that explanation?
Yes, sir. I'd assume that we would leave. I would assume that we would leave those signs down and those rows taped off for people that want to make sure that that they're distanced from people.
You're good.
All right, thank you, sir.
There's
All right,
Mike.
I'm going to move then to Mike's coming in. I'm going to move to the second bullet point then. For all remaining, and Woodard asked me to, because notice how they're worded. They're worded as, I know he said he's in the waiting room, but I let him in. I can't see him.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Oh,
A lot
okay.
better. Yeah.
All right, wonderful. On this second bullet points, Woodard asked me to, there he is. Hi, Mike. He asked me to split these out into, notice the difference is invitational and district in those beginning statements and those phrases. And because there's different guidelines based on the size of our district 17-3A. So you can see that the first bullet point, when we were talking about track meets in that golf tournament there, it talks about the number of teams that can compete in a track meet. And you notice it says district track meet. So that's the big one. And before we were going to have to split it out over 2 days and split up the number of schools. And now they're allowing us just to have the one district track meet. So that's why it says the 4 to a maximum of 18. We'll only have 7 teams. Oh, sorry, was somebody talking?
No, I think
That was
that's
Bubba. I think he was not on mute.
Okay, there were only 7, there's only 7 schools that have track teams. And so really when we look at that for the high school in particular, which is this Thursday night actually, or excuse me, that's an invitational. When the district meet comes, we'll have those 7 schools together. And then the next bullet point, invitational, is what we're hosting this Thursday and Friday. We have a high school meet at Trojan Field this Thursday and a middle school this Friday. And you can see Coach Woodard gave me the wording that the number of athletes or participants running in the meet cannot exceed 325 total. And so that's their way of having a risk mitigation plan for the invitational track meet. So there's a difference. It's by team for district and at the golf tournament. And then for an invitational track meet, it's a number of kids. It's a little squirrely, but that's what they gave us. Would any comment on that? I can tell he's at the game. Are we winning?
Girls are winning 3-0 in the bottom of the 4th, and the boys are just fixing to start.
Love it. Domination. How did I do on the track meet? Do you have any comments to add to those?
Good. No, not really. We got our numbers in for our meets this week, and we're up underneath 250 kids on both meets. So we're good on both of those. And I think the biggest thing is the reason they unlimit the district meets is because some of those larger metropolitan districts have 9 and 10 schools in them, and they wanted to make sure they could handle those the way they needed to. So that's the reason why the wording is different on both of those bullet points.
Wonderful.
And when people aren't, when people aren't competing and or adults, are they masked?
Supposed to be. Yep, none of that changes. Supposed to be. All right, any questions on the District 17 3A section? All right, hearing none. We lost Kenny. I just realized.
I'm here. I just don't have video.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay. All right, my bad. I was like, where'd Kenny go? All right. We're not having luck tonight on our technology, are we? All right, on the West ISD administration. So these are local. The first one is from talking with Mr. Clander and Mrs. Cosda. Last year, you'll remember we had to do all of our end of the year events where we recorded them and then loaded them to our YouTube channel. No kids, obviously, because they were at home. We were out of school, and we had some staff come up. And as you know, we have right now restrictions on large gatherings in auditoriums or cafeterias, and of course, about guests coming into our buildings. So those things are not changing, but look at how this was worded. Last year, again, just the principal and teachers awarding and kids watching. This year, you can see we'd like to do specific grade level, and we'd like to allow, with social distancing, of course, to have the students present to receive their awards. And we will record it for the parents and guardians and guests and to watch later, or even live, I guess. I should have worded it that way. And we'll post it on YouTube for folks to watch that missed the live stream. And so the difference here again is staff with kids, social distance, 6 feet apart, utilizing auditorium space, so the kids can actually have a part in their award ceremonies and the scholarship night and all those different things we do for the kids. Some things will still be no kids and recorded and posted, but we particularly thought about these end of the year award ceremonies that we wanted to make sure we handled. We're going to do some different things with students only, with the ag banquet and sports banquet, some meal pieces where of course we'll social distance like we do at lunch every day. We've got some really good ideas, but we want to add the students back to all those end of the year things. and then let the parents watch from home. So that's that first bullet point. Questions about that one?
Students per
What
class
about,
together or students per grade level together?
We put it as grade level because thinking about the different award ceremonies all the way through 8th grade and then seniors, and then we'll work on the different 9th, 10th, and 11th as well. Because each of these grade levels with 100 kids, and once you space out and skip rows, you really do fill up the auditorium enough where you can't get multiple grade levels into, and we don't want to. It just means we're going to have more things we need to schedule, but we'd like to for the sake of the kids. Ms.
so
Willis?
Truett, what does kindergarten graduation look like?
Haven't decided yet. I've been asked about outdoor if Trojan Field's set up, and then I've been asked about in the auditorium, but having kindergartners come up without parents is not a good plan. So we're trying to figure out something outdoors.
Okay.
We believe Mr. Klander.
And the football field is not, is the football field an option, or is that not because parents can't? I see what you're saying with that. Okay.
We did discuss that if we get the field set up for the senior class early enough, we could do it out there on that morning of the last day of school on the 28th. That would be an option. Then we even talked about a mini version, like utilizing the baseball field with the chairs on the turf, where we're utilizing those stands if we needed to do it on a different day. It's all about making sure we have Trojan Field set up for it in time to host it. So we just got to make sure we've got it all scheduled.
I think the softball, baseball field would be great because they're littler people and it would pull them closer to where the audience could see them, and maybe not as big of a crowd would attend. And so they wouldn't be, you know, these little things way out there on a stage, as opposed to, you know, maybe crossing home plate kind of thing as the center of attention.
That was
elevated
recommended.
Stands.
Yeah, that was Ms. Cos's recommendation. And we have the 8th grade one too. I know we call it a promotion, but I know you all remember that the 8th grade one's important too, along with the 5th grade. So we've really got 4 biggies we need to have a discussion about. And if we have to do one class at a time, we can bus. We can figure that out. We're smart. All right, so that's that bullet point.
Thank you for that info.
You bet. And then the last one deals with graduation of the class of 2021 with the outdoor guidelines that we've been talking about. Again, there's a theme here. All 5 of our bullet points, again, are for outdoor events. We want to lift the home side from the 25% that went to 50 this year, and go ahead and let 100 come in for the guests, the families, for graduation. Still utilizing social distancing, still having the chairs like you saw that were in front of the stage for the graduates spaced out, including the parent seating spaced out in the stands as well. We know what the capacity can hold on the home side. We're not asking people to come stand along the fences or sit on the visiting side, but this gives a chance for our kids, our seniors, to invite really triple what they were able to have with the 8 tickets last year. If my math's correct, we have 101 seniors, but we think we can make that work with even the plan we had last year. So wanted to bring that up as well. Questions about that?
Sounds good.
Did we lose Kenny again, or is he there? Kenny?
He's there.
I'm here.
I can't see him. How can y'all see him? I don't know what's going on tonight.
My video is not showing for some reason.
It just says Big Papa's iPhone.
Put it on gallery view.
Oh, did I click on something weird? Okay, my bad. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Jason.
I'm at your service, sir.
You are our IT guy. All right, so those are the 5 changes, updates to our plan that we're seeking your approval for tonight. Mr. Klander, did you want to add anything to administration? Because really a lot of that discussion was about secondary, except for the kindergarten and the award ceremonies from Ms. Cosda.
No, sir. I really think just if nothing else, we're trying to do it to maximize not only for our kids, but also for our families. We'd still live stream that for those that can't make it for whether it's some type of health concerns or distance and so forth like that. That was really a big thing for us last year. So that's also a component we want to keep doing for our graduation as well.
So
Thank you for that reminder. We will.
You and I had talked about a maximum number. Is that going to be, is that what you're thinking? Or are you just going to stick with the 50 to 100%? 50 to 100%.
I haven't decided yet, and I don't want to necessarily put it in this bullet point about passing out tickets per se, but we know we need to keep it with social distancing around 2,000, 2,500 at max, which will double what we had last year. Again, that's why we're not saying visitor side and along the fences. And so it's really about meeting with the senior class and parents and giving them a ballpark of how many folks each family can invite to stay within those numbers, and just really reinforce that as May 28th approaches.
And do tickets as needed to make sure that we stay within that number parameter.
What are our contingency plans if we have a weather event?
Or the next day we would go to 10 o'clock that Saturday, the 29th on Trojan Field. And if that's not possible, we move into the arena that night at 7:30 if we still have inclement weather. So we have two options on that Saturday, the 29th.
And so would the numbers stay the same?
We really have to watch. No, then we really have to go down to our 8 ticket like we would have done last year. And it would be 8 tickets because remember we figured out that we could get 2,000 seats in the arena. So we already have that answered. Okay. Dr. Sparks, that's our 5 bullet points tonight. I'm seeking your approval of those 5 bullet points, and I'll update our plans and post them and send out a school messenger so everybody knows what we're planning.
Very good. That brings us to the action that we need to take. Agenda item number 7 is consideration and action by the board to approve the recommended updates to the West ISD Return to Learn and Play COVID-19 risk mitigation plans as presented by Mr. Truitt. The floor is open for a motion to accept as presented.
Move to approve.
John Crowder moves to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Jason Yannick is seconded. All those in favor, and Kenny, since we can't see you, you'll need to speak up. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right. All those opposed, same sign. There are none, so 7-0, Lee, is what I saw and heard. Okay. Very good. Thank you so very much. We have no items on our executive session, correct?
No, sir, that was just if there was an audience thing that we needed to move to, if it was about personnel or something. So no, sir, that's
that brings us to agenda item number 9, which is the adjournment. The floor is open for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Move.
I see Jason Yannick's made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mike, was that Mike or Kenny? I don't know. Well,
It's
somebody
Mike.
seconded it. Was it Mike? Okay.
Mike.
Y'all are kind of freezing up. All those in favor to adjourn this meeting, show of hands or say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All those opposed, same sign. There are none. Thank you so very much for your time this evening. Go Trojans, and hopefully we won't have any weather events or an upsurge in COVID.
Everybody go to the baseball fields.
Thank you. Thank you for
Amen.
that plug right there. So good night, everybody.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Good night.
Good night.